So today is Thursday, April 20th, 2023 at 6:30. And we're going to bring to order the Town of Manlius Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. If we could begin by everybody rising and doing the pledge. Also, please, for those in the audience, remember to silence your cell phones. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so first on the agenda, well, third item on the agenda, did everybody have a chance to review the minutes from last month? Any questions? May I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Thanks, Claire. I'll second. All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, agenda item number 4. This is for Daniel and Ryan. It's your, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Of 8291 East Seneca Turnpike in Manlius. They're requesting a variance of 13.76 feet to meet the required 200-foot frontage or front road frontage for the construction of a doggy daycare, right? Okay. And again, just to clarify to the ZBA board, this is solely for the purpose of the variance for the subdivision, not whether or not we're making the decision. That is up to the planning board on whether they approve the use of the property, correct? Just want to make sure I stated that up front. Okay. You're Mr. Ewart? Oh, okay. Okay. If you'd like to kind of present to the board what it is you guys are looking to do and why it is that you need the. Oh, yeah, that's true. Good point. Why not? All right. Can we get a motion to open the public hearing for this agenda item?
I'll make that motion. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Sorry about that. I got excited.
Yeah, we get the public notice.
The public note, the legal notice for tonight's agenda has been published. You want to make a motion to waive the reading of that?
No, Warren City.
I'll make Warren to make that. Claire, you want a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right. Now, sorry about that. Go right ahead, sir.
It's okay, no problem. So your rural parcel is outlined as such. We're looking to split it into 2 different parcels. On this area for the zoning of the 200-foot frontage. Our total frontage is shy by about 14 some odd feet. So we're breaking it into one lot here that has an existing house and landscaping business, and that will be a 200-foot frontage. The remaining parcel, which is over here, will end up having a 186.24 foot frontage. So we're looking for a variance for the small piece over there. And that's basically it.
Okay. Does anybody on the board have questions?
I do want to state that this matter was referred to county. Ordinarily, an area variance would not go to county, but because it's in conjunction with another companion action, in this case, the various permits and subdivision and the special use permit. So I understand they'll probably act by April 26th, but we're going to go ahead and we'll keep the public hearing open, but we have not yet heard from county.
Okay.
The little triangle, this small piece of property down here. Yeah. What's the distance in there across the front?
Well, right here.
There, yeah, but I'll move on up, right?
Here?
Nope. Mine now, parallel to the street. Parallel to the street, right there.
What's the distance there?
Yeah.
Distance there would be, I don't want to scale with me, it would be approximately.
That 100. you think they'd want to put something in that area,
I don't understand what would.
building something in
No,
that?
there would be no building in this area. No.
The intent for the building of this would be towards the back side of that lot, correct?
Yeah, it's back
That
in
back
here. This
corner.
would just be a driveway coming in here to access.
And part of, do you want to explain to KP why it was referred to the county?
Oh, because
Yeah, but-
because there's other actions associated with it. Which are subdivision, special use permit, accessory use permit, so if there's other.
Yep.
You know, actions, then it would get referred.
And this would also need granting of a curb cut, correct? Or,
Well, that would be through DOT.
right, but that would still, it's such just another step that still has to occur.
Do you have have you looked for that?
For the DOT?
Yes.
No, because remember, we came into planning board,
Mhm.
we had the roadway or the entrance at one point. But then it was suggested that we move it over a little bit,
Mhm.
so we're waiting to see more of what where we end up putting it before we shift it. I know we're not to that point,
Mhm.
but if you had seen the plan, we had originally over here,
Yes.
and then we have moved it so it's a little bit further. From there.
Have there been discussions with DOT about the curb cut?
No, not yet. I want to see where exactly where we definitely gonna have the roadway.
Okay, so you're waiting on the subdivision to be able to have that conversation,
Well, it'd be getting into the planning board. I said.
back to the planning board,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Is there any indication that a curb cut would not be granted there?
No, there is more than adequate stopping sight distance, both ways, and, you know, so there's no real reason it wouldn't be there.
And whereabouts are you ideally thinking that would go?
Well, so originally, my plan is to drive, we had it like right there, next to the thing. We've now brought it more or less a little bit further out. So approximately, give or take, about halfway.
We did talk to somebody who stopped up to our house and we did show them. The driveway.
What?
But no one from county yet.
No,
Yeah.
Give further questions.
No, thank you.
Or,
um.
Drainage underneath as it crosses, one for the landscaping business and one for the residents. So this would be another installation like the other ones. The driveways on either side of this property just go right into the property. There's no drainage underneath. There's a photo, but
What's your, yeah?
Yeah.
Tell me in better English.
I,
You're getting that.
where they want to put the curb cut, as he's describing, there's a portion there. So to go into this driveway that they want to put in, they would have to put drainage underneath and then build up above it, so the driveway could go in. Right now, there's a ditch there.
So DOT would
They would have to put that.
have to let them know that.
Yeah, right.
That was, Jamie, that's shown on the planning board, it's right over there.
Amy, what do you specifically mean by a curb cut?
A place where a driveway can go and serve what's basically a commercial premises, so that DOT comes in and says you can. Like, if they say you can't put a curb cut there for some reason. Or them in every possible way, possibly this variance, possibly the subdivision, possibly the site plan. So it's kind of a critical matter.
A curb cut. Curb comes along, it drops down for a driveway
Okay.
and pops back up again. That section is the curb cut.
Now, there had been talk at one point about it coming off of the one driveway at your current property, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and is that off the table or?
And there's no, It really doesn't make any sense, but we're the only ones who've probably been there to see the whole setup of everything.
So if the driveway, if you used our driveway now, our existing driveway,
Yep.
it would come in here and the driveway's gonna come all the way over here and then go up into the same spot. So instead of wiping out all the trees along the front and putting a driveway in, we thought we would go, originally we talked about doing 25 feet. That was a rough number. And there's talked about, that was too close. You know what I mean? So we said we'd go 50 feet over, closer to this way, and go straight up and straight through here to the back.
Yeah. You pointed out that it would be slightly to the right of where that telephone pole would be.
Yeah, and that
Yeah, I think
telephone pole I measured out is at 50 feet.
Mhm.
Because if you stand at the telephone pole and look in, there's not many trees that go straight through there. So that would. when we looked at it,
That's pretty much what I had surmised when I had stopped by, was the telephone pole was kind of where you were thinking, based on what I could see on that. Okay.
Question, is this the total of the property that you own in that area?
What, picture?
Yeah,
That's shown.
The whole.
yeah, we own this, the 7.5 acres.
Yeah, that's the total of the acreage.
Right,
You don't have anything beyond that.
no, our property connects up to
Okay.
42 acres of forest
Yeah,
trails.
we own, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, if you did own other property, it would make a difference. But, thank you.
Claire, do you have any questions? Okay. Do we have anybody in the audience? That They wanted to speak about it or have any questions? Yes,
If I may ask a question,
if can you just identify yourself so that she can take note of that?
Paula Ellenberg. I'm the trustee of the trust that owns the property, the Evans property. Yeah, and this has been kind of continuing project for quite some time. There's been quite a few meetings. I'm a little bit confused tonight about the variance, the request for the variance, and of course, the special use permit, you know, it all gets fixed up for the layman. Is not the effect on the neighborhood part of the question tonight, for being able, I know it's a I don't know.
Self-created hardship.
Self-created hardship,
Mhm.
yes, but as part of that self-created hardship, isn't it the effect on the neighborhood globally? And so what, you know, being the house right next door, and we just talked about the curb cut and, you know, the distance to our property. Well, the question is, do we really want what could total 50 cars going by my living room windows? Yes, so is
You
that
own-
part of the question?
You own some property there?
That's the house
Yeah.
next door.
This is house next door.
So if you look at the
That's
map,
Evans
Tom, do you want to point that out?
That, right there.
right there.
Down there?
Yeah, that's us.
Oh, yeah, well,
And, you know, and then this proposition is to put the building right behind us.
no, our question tonight is just if we're gonna grant the, you know, that,
Lesser
So-
road frontage,
The-
right?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
what's
the-
been sent to us from the planning board is for us to look at granting that variance to, so typically that property would have to have 200 foot of frontage.
Yes.
So we would have to approve that 13.76 feet for it to have the appropriate
Mhm.
road frontage so that it could be subdivided.
Okay.
The decision on the special use permit and what will end up there is actually, that would go back to the planning board. All we're here to do is make a decision of whether or not that property that they own can be subdivided, and whatever they do with it,
no.
that's beyond the purview of what the ZBA is doing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That, all we're doing is talking about the variance for the purpose of the subdivision.
Okay, my attorney would like.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
May I speak? Yeah. As you know, I'm Dirk Alamo. I'm an attorney and I'm here representing these people. I don't know what you have in your file, and I'd like to ask that, but I have a couple of surveys of Paula's property that her mother lives in, her mother right there, which will give you an idea of the occupation and use that is going to be impacted should this subdivided lot be approved by the planning board, provided that you grant a variance. And as you can see, and of course, we're talking about the area that's right down here. Just to the right of the odd shaped frontage piece leading back to this larger area where they're proposing to put the doggy daycare. This parcel presently up front consists of 3 residential dwellings. So the impact of what might occur along the approach to the back end and the noise of the activity and whatever happens will affect 3 residential uses in the front. And I don't need to tell you about your obligation to evaluate the benefits versus the detriments. I know you know that well. But I say to you, ladies and gentlemen, this case should be decided immediately with no problem and denied because there's no need for a variance, because there is sewer right across the street, which can be tapped by these people by engineering drawings, paying to bring the sewer into this parcel. And then that would reduce the frontage requirement from this parcel down to 150 feet of frontage. And there's no need for a variance. And I know your learned counsel very familiar, as I am, with section 267A of the town law, which says that if the variance can be avoided by doing something, and it doesn't quantify whether it's affordable or not, it talks about whether or not something else can be done, which will avoid the necessity for the variance, then you must deny the variance. And they may argue it's going to cost more money than is sensible to spend. But all of these people on this side of the road have been told for years that if their systems fail and they want to hook up, they can punch underneath the highway and go over and grab that sewer main on the other side of the street, because it runs right along that road. So I think that somebody ought to recognize that early on as being the answer to this case. Now, if not, there's other points I'll make to you. And number one, your notice of this hearing, unfortunately, has a typographical error in it. The number of the residence structure is not what was in the notice. And as a result of that, we know of several people who live in the immediate area that didn't come tonight. They didn't plan to come tonight because they didn't know it was this project.
Letters were mailed to all adjoining residents.
I know it did, but if you look at the letters.
With notice of the meeting. Correct, Allison?
I did, actually, Tom and I worked together on that and he did it.
That's part of our standard process.
No, but I'm saying the notice is here. The address in the
You've
notice
got
is wrong.
8219.
You got 19 instead of 91.
We can simply renotice, the public hearing has to be held open, or we can renotice for next.
Oh, okay, I'm just saying to you, we know there's a number of people who were interested in appearing on this, but they had made other plans.
It's very interesting, because Tom did actually take the map out, and instead of running, I know what you think we might have done, we might have run it through the GPS, he actually handpicked them.
Okay, but
So if they didn't get that, he looked at the parcel map, and I like correct, Tom?
Yeah.
well,
We can,
well, I can tell you, for example, the veterinarian down the road, he'd have been here, but he didn't realize it, and he has other plans for the day. So, Dr. Ender, let's make, yeah.
Is that property owned by an LLC somewhere else? So there were some that did not get sent to the actual residents because. Yeah.
Sir, I'm not here to argue the matter. I think there's a defect in the letter, which I think is required by your statute. So I think that's a matter I'm bringing to your attention. Do with it as you feel you should and must. Hang on, that's yours. Okay, that's a matter that I wanted to, oh, thank you. I wanted to bring to your attention. The other thing that strikes me about this, and you know, I assume you have the applications that are before the planning board so that you know the intended use here is a doggy daycare. And should you approve this variance, you open up the opportunity for a mobile home to be placed on that lot. So you have to have that in mind, even though these people say they're intending to do something. We all know fickle finger fate comes along and things don't happen. All I want you to know is that you're opening the door, should you grant the variance, to a mobile home site, a dog kennel, a bed and breakfast, and various business occupations which would be allowed in this parcel, which is behind my client's 3 residences. So I bring that to your attention. Another thing that strikes me as I review this with my client is that the septic system proposed is not the normal septic system. This is a raised septic system. And I think you can appreciate that with a dog kennel, that there may be significant excrement and so forth that goes into that system. A raised system is used only when you have poor percolation. So, yeah. All right? Yeah. They're approvable under the law, but to me, that's a significant factor in view of the potential use. The other matter I want to bring to your attention is, as I know Jamie will tell you, if you don't otherwise know it, is that you have the right to condition any variance that you grant. I haven't looked at all the cases involving conditions, but there's a number that could come to mind that should you think a variance is appropriate here, that you could impose to minimize the impact of a doggy daycare on this site. Number one, you could require the driveway to be put all the way over to the left-hand side of this entry parcel. Get it completely away from, as far as is humanly possible, my client's property, which has 3 residences on it. And we all know that 2 times a day, there will be significant traffic. Perhaps not for a prolonged period of time, but in the morning, in the evening, there's going to be a lot of cars. So you-
They wanted to say something, but I'm gonna let you finish first, or,
All right.
sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
You could also insist that any of the improvements made to the parcel for the doggy daycare are pushed as far back on that parcel as possible, because under this zoning category, the backyard setbacks 40 feet. So you can say you're gonna push the buildings and all of your improvements as close as you can to the rear of the parcel. These are all conditions you could attach to a variance if you think it's appropriate, which would minimize the adverse impact on my client's properties. And that's why I gave you that survey, so you get the idea of how close two of those residences are. They're all pretty close. We all know, I'm sure, about noise of dogs. One dog starts to bark and they all bark. And I'm a dog lover and I haven't had them for years. So we all know that noise, busyness are adverse impacts. And so these are points I think that are very relevant. If you don't agree with me that the availability of public sewer automatically defeats us, which I say to you, I think is ice cold as a legal proposition, then you get to the evaluation of detriment versus benefit. And I can tell you that my research of the law, I only found 3 cases that ended up in our court system in all the years involving the appropriateness of how a board like yours handled a request to vary a subdivided lot. All 3 of them were disapproved by the zoning board of appeals. And as it went up through the system, the courts, and one of them went to the highest court in our state, the Court of Appeals. And the Court of Appeals said was the right thing to do. But what I want to throw out to you, and I don't mean to step on Jamie's toes. I've known her a long time. She's very capable. And I'm sure she'll bring this to your attention. But there's a couple of things that are pretty clear in the cases. And I wanted to read to you from a couple of the cases. There is no single statutory consideration that is more important for you than to consider the adverse effects of a requested variance on the neighborhood and the community. It is a critical aspect of your responsibility in balancing the relief requested by the property owner. The other thing that the Court of Appeals said, Jamie, and it's in the case, I'm sure you'll find it, but the Court of Appeals in the case 98 New York 2nd 304 took a look at the use of the property by the property owner as that person came to the board. And Court of Appeals said that the property owner presently is using the property and enjoying a single family residence and is receiving significant benefit from that. Now, on the other hand, look at the adverse impact to the neighbors and the impact to the neighborhood and the community far outweighs an existing benefit they're enjoying. They're not coming to you here with a vacant lot where there's no benefit and they're saying, you know, we got an investment, we want to use this property, and want to do something with it, and they have presently no benefit. They presently have a lovely, to my eye, estate lot with a beautiful residence on it. They've got an outbuilding, and I know that they want to use, and I'm sure planning board will probably go along with some type of a home occupation permission so that they can store their landscaping business equipment on the site. So they're enjoying presently significant benefit in their existing use. Now they're trying to cram in more, but in the process of cramming in more activity on their site, there's adverse impact to people. And so I'm gonna leave it at that, but I think there's quite a lot for you to really open your eyes and take into account. And I hope you see it that, oh, one more point. Why didn't they short the lot number one? Why didn't they say, well, we'll give the lot next door to my clients the 200-foot frontage and short themselves on their own parcel, the 15 feet that they need. They can do that.
Yeah.
And so,
What's the difference?
well, listen, I'm just talking, I'm making points. And I'm asking you to deny this. I think it's very inappropriate. I really think you should reschedule this for another day. We know there's a number of people who otherwise would be here if the notice were properly given to oppose this matter. You know that on the zone change, there was a petition signed by a number of people against the zone change, which created the possibility for this. And by the same token, you should know that the planning board recommended against the zone change, which the town board granted in August, that made this possible. So out there, there's a lot of opposition to what these folks are proposing.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, these two residents you see in the back of this lot here for,
There's three of them.
yeah, there's two houses in the back.
Yeah, two houses in back and
They have very short 13 feet off the property line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, was that taken in consideration when they built those houses?
They built the houses in 1916.
1915.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
the
Part of
Emmons
the big-
people,
part of the big farm.
your family owned quite a bit of the property.
I believe they did.
They did. And evidently they sold that property and to these property lines.
Yeah, for
Well-
who knows why.
well, there was a prior subdivision, okay? And so, well, listen, we're going back, we
Yeah, that's
know,
right.
we know in times gone past.
You know, they used to have a huge farm. It was a very good business.
The Hale, yeah. Hale.
The Hale Farm, is that part of the family too?
They married.
Oh,
Emmons
yeah.
was married to Hale. That's what happened. Yeah. Frank
Okay,
Emmons farmed that.
I've said enough, thank you.
Did you want to say
Yeah,
something else?
first of all, most of our property, when we bought it, is in an L shape, so unfortunately, our property that we available to use is behind the Evans, going that way, that's where the majority is. To access the road, we need a way to get into there. We don't live in a neighborhood, we live on a main road, 173, that has traffic all day, that creates noise, so we don't live in a quiet neighborhood. It's anything but quiet. As for them seeing anything, we built a 9-foot fence behind the property line, that there is a total blockage, that there is no way to see our property, and we are building a fence on the side, and we're proposing to do the driveway entrance. And it's far away from the Emmons, where there's no way for anybody to see into their building or their living room like they're proposing. There is no way. If you come onto our property, we can clearly show you. I thought that tonight was gonna be for the variance of the 13 feet that we needed. Not the dog daycare, because anything that we would like to do has to have a special permit.
Correct.
So we can't build a trailer, home, house, whatever, like they're saying, it's ridiculous. I've grown up in Manlius my whole life. We have a ton of support from the community, the local community that I have signing at home that I didn't bring because tonight I thought was just for the variance. So there are plenty of people in our local community right around us that is supportive, very supportive of what we propose to do.
Neighbors right by us.
Neighbors directly by us. And I also know that there's a conflict of interest because one of the people who are opposing us doing the doggy daycare has someone who dog sits. A little bit of a conflict of interest there, I would say. Like I said, tonight I thought we were coming for the 13 feet. We already have to go through another process of the special permit for what we intend to use the property for.
Correct, and you are correct in the fact that we are here solely for the purpose of the variance. But we also have to give people that are in the audience the chance to speak, so.
Sure.
And I kind of assumed that we were gonna have this conversation prior to the meeting. So one of the questions that I have, and please speak up if I'm incorrect here. I don't think we can make a decision on the variance until we hear back from the county. Because they're gonna make the determination on a couple of things that right now it's up in the air. Whether or not they build a 10-story skyscraper or something, that's not something that's within our purview. It's not, as you say, germane to the question at hand. So for us, I think we have to have the answers from the county as to that piece of it to come back. And you said they're meeting on the 26th, is that correct? So that obviously it came to this meeting, we'd have to push this to our next meeting. Which is obviously next month.
I believe you had also suggested that the issue of the driveway cut could be critical to the issue of
Correct.
whether this variance is something that should be granted. So I know you have said it's not a problem. You should come with some evidence of that. I don't know if the county, I doubt they're gonna say, or they might write in their resolution.
Well, the county
Because of-
can't make the decision. This is a state road, so DOT has to make that decision.
Oh, yes, okay.
So I mean, based on that,
They might-
licensed engineer, like I said, there was no stopping sight distance probably, and just a round number.
Mhm.
You take the posted speed, it's a little bit less than, but you take the posted speed times 10,
Mhm.
and sitting about 2 feet above the ground, you should be able to see that distance both ways. And that your sign is way in excess of that, so, and there's nothing else they're gonna be able to come
Do
up
you
with.
think it's feasible they will ask that one of those road cuts come out of the other parcel?
No, I don't think so, because this is, they put a maximum of 2 for a commercial parcel. This is gonna be a totally separate parcel. And when they go in and say, okay, we're force you to bring it across here, because where the bone of contention is, no fun. If the driveway came here, if the driveway came across here, this is gonna be a common area. This is gonna be a common area where both drives intersect. And as Danielle can tell you, what they're planning on is about 10 to 12 customers probably max. So in the morning, you might have 10 to 12 cars come in, and then at night you have 10 to 12 cars go out. Before the planning board meeting, I'm gonna get the count along Second Turnpike. It's gotta be a couple of thousand a day.
Oh, the traffic and
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so they're saying about this coming in here, and like I said, well,
It's a busy road.
10 miles an hour.
you live on it, you know. Right, Warren? Busy road,
Well, here.
you're right by it.
And then the other thing I want to point out, just, it's not really part of the variance thing, but so the other side knows what's going on. If you take this building and you move it back further, the finished floor elevation is gonna be going up because it goes uphill, okay? The more you bring the building back, the more visible it's gonna be down here. Right now, with the fence and everything, you're basically not gonna see too much of anything of it. But when you start putting it back, that you're going uphill, you get a better shot, eyesight, that you're gonna see the building. Plus, in this area, we're showing a raised bed septic, because when we dug down, we go about 15, 18 inches, and we go into bedrock or shale or whatever, okay? They're not gonna go blasting into there and everything else, God knows what that would create. So if you put it up and back here, you're gonna have to fill forward, because the building is not gonna be sitting flat, it's not gonna be up on the slope, you have to go all the way down in here. We've got a lot of construction, a lot of change in topo, and which is gonna be more visible to the house up front. But I just wanna make sure they're aware of that. So moving it back further is not like going straight across the street flat. It's gonna be also pitching up.
What's the grade back there, do you know?
It's about 3 or 4% going up.
You know what's on the other side of the property?
42 acres of horse trails.
That's the
There's
horse
nothing.
farm?
Yeah, there's nothing.
Okay. There's a great big white barn off of Eagle Village,
Yes,
that's it.
yes.
Dr. Gerber.
What is it?
Dr. Gerber.
Okay.
And then the last thing I would just want to point out from an engineering point, the bylaw, the septic system is for human use. It's not that you're gonna go picking up all the dog droppings and go flushing down the toilet and have to have a bigger system. That's not even feasible or logical. That's not how we're designed. So when the county won't accept that, they're gonna be gotten rid of the solid waste, right? And that's it. They're not gonna be standing there at the end of the day flushing dog droppings down the toilet. So that makes no sense to be very blunt about it. That's why I'm.
You're gonna have a service that comes in and picks those up or whatever.
Yeah, we're gonna pick it up and then it's gonna either go in the dumpster.
What do you mean, you're gonna take it down to a sewer plant, what are you gonna do with it?
No, we would have a service that would come to take it away.
Yeah, there's services that come and do that, so.
You talking about off the ground?
So pick it up off the ground for the dog, yeah. I have
We're gonna pick it up with a bag, just like you do at the state park when the dog goes. to-
Yeah.
Pick it up, tie it off, and then put it whatever we have to put it in, and then however it has to be.
And then a service comes and takes that away? I'm not in the dog business, I don't know, you know.
Yeah,
There's a job opportunity.
A job opportunity.
Can you actually, you brought up a point that I did want to ask a question on since you are the engineer, Stewart. Has that been discussed and where would that, because that would take away the need for the variance because it would adjust it.
Sewer, we did not look into it. Because I already talked this over with the county and they were in essence saying, okay, give us a plan for it. What he's talking about, I guess, would be a sewer line on the other side.
Okay.
You have the jack or whatever underneath the DOT road, you put a sending pit, and receiving pit on both sides to get it across and then tap into one of their lines.
So the sewer's on the south side of the street.
That from what he said. I'm
nobody,
saying is I've-
nobody on the side has it because it's way too much money to tap
Yeah,
into
when we
it,
built
so.
our house, we didn't go into it, because I think at the time it was $25,000, but nobody on that whole street.
Yeah.
on that
Nobody
side.
on our side
I'm
has,
just asking a question.
yeah,
I'm just want to say what I saw when I went out there. I saw you had the 4 stakes in the ground that represented, you said it was gonna be 40 by 40. I questioned, you said 40 by 50.
Right.
Okay, would that extra footage go beyond where the fence is? in the
no,
Back,
no,
because that's not a tall fence.
no, it's a 9-foot fence.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't, no, oh, no, we're gonna go past it at all,
Wouldn't go past.
no,
Okay. I didn't.
What wouldn't go past? I didn't
The
understand
structure
question.
itself.
Oh.
Where the fence is, and then they had stakes behind it, there are 4 stakes
Mhm.
representing where the building would go.
Mhm.
And it's parallel to the fence. I don't measure how far it is back from the fence, but it wasn't that far.
Mhm.
So I was listening for your discussion about putting the and I had asked you about holding the building further back, because that whole area is clear before you get into that thicket. 'Cause
right,
when we walk back there.
right, because we're gonna do the building, and then we're gonna have an outside area
And then you
for,
said the building would be first, and then there would be a yard on the
Yes.
other side of the building
yes,
away from.
yes,
Okay,
You might wake up those horses out there with all those dogs.
everybody likes to talk about the dogs barking, but you know, the traffic isn't that quiet, and we have 4 dogs, and as you came out, you heard no dogs barking.
Okay, yeah, so the sewer thing has been talked about, but not,
Just because of the
just-
cost, and it's not like Danielle said, nobody on their side of the road has taken it over there.
and do you know what the current cost is?
When we had our house built 20 years ago, I think.
Right.
I think it was like almost $30,000.
Just to tap into it, and then you have to go back.
Do you know what something like that would cost, Tom?
To run a 6-inch water line across it, let's just do it that way.
Okay.
You have a 6-inch water line right now with Aqua, it's about $68,000. To go like across Route 57, so I'd say take that down a little bit, so probably about, $60,000 roughly.
Okay. Who's that? I'm in the wrong line of work. All right,
Somebody on the line.
well, I was gonna get to that next, so, Allison, if you wanna, what's the name?
Liz Morgan Dean.
All right, hold on. Liz, we're gonna, bring you live here. If you could, ask your question here in just a second, let me just get you live. All right,
Hello?
Liz, can you
You hear me?
go right ahead?
My husband is here with me. His name is John Palmer. We live at 8341 East Seneca Turnpike. Our property, and I don't have a question, but I was struggling to get into the meeting and was not being acknowledged, so I wasn't sure it was going through. Our property directly abuts the part of the proposed subdivision where any structure would be built. So we're kind of at the back, there's that little cone, and then we're at the back. And even though there's nothing there, that's our property. Unfortunately, the applicants did not contact us prior to this application. We have not previously opposed the childcare use or the landscape use of their land. And we would not oppose a single family home use of the land. However, we would oppose any special use of the land. In particular, doggy daycare, but any commercial use. We've lived here for almost 23 years. And although our property does not abut the high school, we hear everything that goes on at the high school. Every band practice, every sports game. For us, traffic is not a big concern, but we do have a friend with a dog kennel who's 4 houses away from the kennel. And as noted earlier, when one dog barks, they all bark. And we are not comfortable with that as any special use. And I understand that's not the purpose of this application, but we want to make clear that if there is a reason to oppose a subdivision, oppose it. It's unfortunate, but we oppose it.
One of the other things that
My husband is here. His name is John Palmer.
All right, John,
What-
go ahead.
hasn't been taken into consideration. I know there is some rules on the books about noise levels and stuff and how they affect wildlife breeding areas. This whole area around here, whether it's their property, our property, or the property that is directly behind them, there's lots of deer and turkey that inhabit this area. And if they're driving those animals out of their comfort zone because the dog's barking, I don't think that's fair to the wildlife. And again, it's just like my wife said that if that's what we have to do is oppose this grant, this extra 16 feet or whatever, then we're both against it.
Thank you for your comments, sir.
There is another process beyond this. Just so you know, on special permit and subdivision that's at the planning board, should this variance be granted. So much of what you're saying is not going to be relevant to this proceeding, but may be relevant to other proceedings. So you should watch that.
You know, I mean, we understand that, but
Okay.
unfortunately,
But thank you for making a public comment on that, and it'll be noted in our minutes.
There's
for
a
sure.
reason.
He's talking. I'm sorry, sir. What did you say?
No, I was saying, I appreciate your comment on it as well, and it will be noted in our minutes. So, and the planning board does review those. So they'll see it. And there'll obviously be public notice when this comes before the planning board again. So, does anybody else have any comments online?
It's just that.
Okay, does anybody else in the room have any comments? Claire? You good? Still with us? Okay.
So there is not going to be a decision tonight, but there's a few things that I want this board to keep in mind.
Yep.
There are the criterion, we know them well.
And we have to go through them, but we can't go through those.
No, we can't
until-
go through them yet, but there's something that, you know, you want to be thinking about by the next meeting. The variance is 13.76 feet. The question is whether ultimately whether there is the benefit, right, to the applicant outweighs any detriment to the neighborhood or community. So remember, that's what we're coming at the bottom line.
Yep.
There are conditions that can be put on a variance, but they have to be reasonably related to the variance, which in this case is a single variance of front yard. But that's a discussion that can be had by the next time around. And you know, how might, if it is a lesser road frontage that's granted, how can the impact of the reduced road frontage minimize conditions minimize that? And of course, the factors about whether an undesirable change would be produced in the neighborhood or detriment to the nearby properties by granting of the variance. And that does have some latitude to it. Whether the benefits sought by the applicant be achieved by a feasible alternative to the variance. I heard one thing discussed tonight, that is another option, or I heard, well, the other property could have less and they could have more. That's another thing. The other thing was the septic versus public. Of course, whether the variance is substantial.
Yep.
And that can, it can be substantial in amount, or it can be substantial in, you know, just because of what's happening, you know, it could be considered substantial. So it could be an inch and it could be substantial. It could be 100 feet and not be substantial, right?
Right.
Depending on what is there. And would the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood? And again, it's the road frontage, and you know, this board can look at it, you know, has to determine whether the minimal whether that road frontage is then going to have an adverse impact on the neighborhood. Potentially looking at other road frontages that people have is one of the factors. So I just
I'd like to throw something else in here. They may have service come and pick up the doggy food waste, but they still need a raised bed system for the normal toilet. People working still need the, you know, so they'll still need that raised bed. Yeah, so they may have post both services, okay?
and we can just discuss whether
Yeah.
whether the variance has an impact on that.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Does that have a yard for animals in the back?
No.
There's a yard for animals in that.
No, their dogs run in their backyard.
They have dogs in the backyard.
But the animal, I take my dog there
Uh-huh.
and all the dogs that are there stay inside.
No,
No.
well, maybe.
Yeah, except theirs.
Well, they also have their dogs, their clients also, on our property.
It's a different story, but yeah, we have video of their clients coming over and pooping in our property, so at the end of the day, we can get into all day long, I've got.
I'm just asking a question because
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
you explained to me that you're gonna have a yard where all these dogs will be outside.
Yeah,
And I just wanna know, does the vet have a yard where they have animals?
I believe so, so
So-
they're-
Yeah, and she's saying no as well, so
Okay,
I don't
I don't think
they do, so.
okay.
Okay. Make a motion.
Well, we are going to, keep the public hearing open.
I made a note for Debbie, and she should be back by next time to just, send the public hearing notice that was in the paper was correct and had the correct address. She'll resend the letters, which she might do anyways, for holding a public hearing open.
Yep.
And I made a note for her on that.
Thank you.
should we send out additional ones rather than just the ones?
That is out of my purview.
No, I mean, is that?
I know that we follow the process that we normally follow, but I would leave that up to you.
If as a board, you think there should be a wider, impact, who should be notified, it can certainly be requested.
Well, like the people that were on tonight. Their property doesn't touch, so they wouldn't have received it.
Do it a certain.
Yeah, I
distance.
thought-
If you could just like specify a buffer distance from the property, that would be the most beneficial way that we can do that for that. So if you want to go to 1,000 feet, 1,000-foot buffer zone, that would be an ideal way, because we'll outline the property, buffer zone it, and then all of the mailing addresses.
Yeah, so that would be, Seneca Turnpike, and would it,
1,000 feet from any part of the
I'm
property.
sorry, you did that for the other public hearings, generally it's 1,000 feet, it went out to everybody with 1,000 feet.
So people who cross 173 would get the notice.
when it get up on North Eagle Village?
So I can do it quickly, 1,000-foot buffer, let you know how far it goes.
As a layperson, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So a regular public hearing, you're gonna say, okay, we're gonna contact these people, right? Is it prudent or is it right to say, well, for this project, we're gonna ask more people to come in and find out? I mean, that's how it sounded.
That's up to this board.
No, I know, but that's how it sounded, like we don't have enough people to play, so let's make it bigger and send it, resend it, maybe more people to come in and talk against it. I mean, that's not like they do other projects have just a standard way of who's contacted. You say, well, wait a minute,
That,
We have
no,
these
that's,
people,
no,
let's
that's
do
not
it.
exactly true, actually. In various times,
right, I'm just saying.
boards have said, we think this has a wider impact, let's get more people on board. That's not unusual, and we don't know that they'll complain. We just
No,
want
no, I
people to have
understand.
notice.
I was saying, but when the question was, should we send it to the people we already sent it to once, and it's like, well, the board can decide to do it, that's almost like a.
Oh,
Yeah, you
no,
think
we're,
that's-
we're sending it anyway because of
We-
the typo, I think.
Yeah.
they said.
Yeah, and if a public hearing remains open at one of our meetings and it's gonna be on the next agenda, we send out the notice again to those
Do
same people.
you want the notice, like I said, the notice in the paper was correct. Do you
Yep.
want is that to be re-noticed again in the paper?
I would.
The
Yeah,
continuation.
because Debbie typically,
Yes.
Debbie typically would do that, yeah.
I just want to leave
Yep.
her very detailed notes about this, so.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Do you want her to use 1,000 feet?
I just threw that.
What'd you use last time?
500.
500 is our standard, right?
Or the properties adjoining it.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure that everybody, as soon as I hear typo, that means somebody didn't get something.
Well, and that's why it'll be resent and those people will be aware of it.
To be clear, the typo that he's referencing, the addresses were hand selected. There was no typo in there. The address inside the body of the document
Is what we-
said there was a transposed
Oh, I see.
number. But who, the properties that were selected, we do for CPA at the town board, we do the process we're doing right now. We take a parcel, we put it in GIS and we run a buffer. With ZBA, we hand select the.
Adjoining.
The adjoining. So if they did get letters with contact information, it just had a different address on it, but he's talking about running a buffer.
Maybe I missed this, but did the people that just spoke, did they get the notice?
I don't know. I mean, we also publish it in the paper. We put it on our website, Neighbors Talk. I mean, it's that they likely should have found out that way, but I mean, it is our responsibility to send that letter with the notice or with the address correctly in there, so.
Correct. 'Cause I think you said they were, you told me that they were next door.
Palmer,
Yeah.
they're 5 houses
Yeah,
down.
they're actually, I
You
think
said
they're
their
three.
property.
But, yeah, we walked up.
We have walked with you through the woods, past our,
that's their
entrance,
property.
all the way up to that one part that we walked to, that
But
was,
their property touches your property.
yeah.
They would have got it.
Okay.
Yeah, they would have got the
Mhm.
notice.
All right. So we're gonna put this to the next meeting and we'll continue. Okay, well,
We'll make a motion. Do we need a motion?
this doesn't need a motion because it just stays open.
To continue it,
Yep, it just stays open and it's an
Stay
agenda item for next month.
okay,
Yep, so we can move on to agenda item number 5.
so we're all set on this issue
That's
For now.
correct.
for now, right?
Yes. Have a good night.
Number 5.
Yeah, that's better.
Thank you for guiding me.
Oh, sir. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. Real quick before you get talking. Can somebody make a motion to, actually, wait, let me read it and then you can make the motion. So agenda item number 5 is for Tim and Diane Good at 7119 Carstairs Circle in East Syracuse. They are requesting a variance of 10 feet to meet the required 25 rear yard setback. Would you like to make the motion?
We're gonna open the public hearing.
To open the public hearing.
I'll make the motion, open the public hearing on this.
All right, all in favor? Aye, opposed. Okay, public hearing's open. And I'm assuming you're Tim.
Yes, I am.
All right, if you could explain to us what you're looking to do, sir.
Yes,
And thank you for your patience.
To put Mount a small addition on the back of their family, and could be 8 deep, 26 feet across. Currently, there's a deck sitting there that's kind of, we bought the home in 87. and the assumption would be- My assumption would be that everything was approved when whomever put that deck up way back in the day, but we would be removing the deck and essentially putting this in its place. The deck actually takes up a little bit more room. The deck kind of goes back, it kind of like octagons out, and it probably shoots back about another 6-7 feet from where we'll be doing, but the whole entire deck will come down. And we've got an architect who basically has designed every element of this thing, so all the roof lines tie together and everything will be looking like it did from original build. The purpose of this really is getting married, starting to have children, and we're looking just to give ourselves a little bit more space, in the back. We got the fireplace sitting there and everything. Right now, you're crowded with about 5 or 6 people that sit back there. So this would really give us the opportunity to get a bigger couch and just kind of spread out the area. And on the other side of the home, we have a pool. So what would happen is we would just get the sliding glass door out towards the pool and just kind of have a big open space. Currently, we got a picture up there, so we kind of tell you, but
I was going to, Debbie just likes it when there's the people who are talking, so when the,
No, it's okay. You
when
can put it
the
up.
picture share is applicable, I can put it up there.
yeah.
At request.
And I'm sorry that I was out of town. I'm sorry, my daughter called me and said you were there. I wish I was there because I think I could have probably explained a little bit better what we were up to, but my variance, the way my backyard is, the next home closest to me is about 50 feet up on top of the hill. Yeah, there you go, right. So where we're proposing this, the 8 feet comes in way in here. So all this goes and the addition would stop right about there. And it would come out 8. This is sticking out probably about 20 feet from the house right now as it looks. So the variance really is from about this point out, would be what we need for the 10 feet. And then, you know, you saw the backyard, Warren, you'll notice that it's all landscape hill.
Yeah, so it slopes up to the house. I had to tilt my neck back quite a bit to look up at that house.
Yeah, correct. So, you know, so that would really be it. I mean, you know, you're looking at it there. I've got some renders of the drawings and stuff are within the things that you can propose, but that's what we're looking for. You know, I've answered the 5 questions here, and I really think it's gonna add value to my home. The physical appearance is gonna look like it's always been there. I'm pretty excited on how the guy did the roof lines and stuff and back and is tying everything in for me. That's it. We're just really trying to get a little bit more space as the family grows. I'll be in Key West next week for the first, or 2 weeks for the first wedding for my son, so the destination weddings, if they tell you that they're cheaper, yeah, not so much. Yeah, that would be it there. This is where the existing deck is basically sitting on that footprint. So it would just go away and this would go in place. This would be basically the side where the pool is over here with a fireplace. This one doesn't show a door. I thought I had sent you an updated one, but if you get the sliding door that goes right there, and then just, it's got the windows that go right in the back, all symmetrical and laid out. I have new ones here, if not, but. Yeah, see, this is an older one, because the guy just kind of put 2 sliders in the back. We've got, you know, 3 windows and everything would be symmetrical in the back and up.
The design professional was Ed Reed, correct?
Mike Simonson,
Okay.
yeah, he's a licensed architect.
Yeah, no projects. He was-
Yeah. And I do have a general contractor, you know, so I'm not handling any of it myself, you know, so he'll be in doing this thing and. But, you know, that would really be about it. Currently, you know, like I say, the house has come straight down here, and the nice part about it is he'll be putting like a gable end, as you see right here, kind of coming off the back, so it's gonna give a nice look for the guy up top. So.
Can we go back to that photo showing the back?
This one,
The other one.
Yeah.
So can you point on there from, you're asking for 26 by 8 feet out, 26 wide.
Right.
Okay, can you show me where exactly that's gonna be?
Yeah, so right here is where it'll start. So this whole wall comes out and this is a room that'll get bigger. So it starts here,
Okay.
comes out 8 feet.
Yep.
This first pole, if you remember, there's a gate, there's an actual post right here, that's 8 feet. So then it comes across. And it's
The other side of the bay
right
window,
back-
right?
Right, tuck right back straight in there, right past the bay window.
And then the gable would be where?
And the gable goes, can you just pop that one drawing back that you had up there? Can you see it up here on the top?
That left side.
Right there. So instead of coming down with a flat shed roof, he's gonna tie that in the back just to show it, because the house has so many roof lines, he's trying to keep it symmetrical.
Okay.
I actually, you know, have numerous drawings so you can see how the windows and stuff look, but I must have given you that in time or in life or something.
And all that's gonna color match with the
Yeah,
current
yeah, it's
siding.
not all gonna be, all the correct siding all the way through the guy, you know, it's all gonna be seamless. Yes, sir.
What's your timeline?
Looking to really start in the next 30 days. You know, what happens that I'm finding right now is the builder's on me, he finds the mason, and then the mason disappears, you know, he's on to something else. So they're filling up really quick. So it's not like imperative I get it even done in the next 30, I mean, I would like to start as quickly as I can, but even if it goes into summer and the fall, I can tell, I would be fine with that. So I'm just, he's just trying to line up his people right now, because it's
Yeah,
quite
they're-
obvious that, they get busy really fast.
They're hard to find right now, especially
Yeah.
Masons.
Yeah.
KP, you have any questions?
No. I don't have any problem with it. I don't necessarily like it looks like you're reusing the footings.
Yeah, so that is now officially changed as well. Now we're doing a foundation. Originally, it was designed with pillars
Yeah.
and not anymore. There's gonna be a block, 4 foot frost wall, whatever they call it, capped, all that kind of stuff, and then everything goes on top.
That was
Yeah,
good call. That was a good question.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna have the architect change the drawing for tonight, but, I get to that point, but that's what's gonna be happening. It's gonna be a full foundation.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Can you get Tom the updated
Yep,
drawings?
yep, I will do that.
Claire, do you have questions?
What's that?
Do we have anybody, sir, do you have any questions? You're good. Still awake over there?
Yes.
I think you just want to go swimming.
Allison, do we have anybody online? No, okay. All right,
We're good.
can we get a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, opposed? Okay. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through those 5 questions that you went through.
Yep.
They've all had a chance to review them.
Okay.
I apologize for coughing so much. I'm sorry.
I hope so.
All right, question number 1. Whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by a feasible alternative to the variance. Not to build what he wants to build.
No.
Can't exactly put it anywhere else. I mean, you could, but not for what he wants to do. All right, whether an undesirable change would be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties.
No.
No, Claire? I feel like I looked around here. All right, whether the requested variance is substantial.
No.
I don't think so.
Okay. Would the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood?
No.
Whether that's difficulty was self-created?
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? All right, so then, the ZBA, after taking into consideration the above 5 factors, finds that the benefit to the applicant does outweigh the detriment to the neighborhood. ZBA further finds that a variance for 10 feet is the minimum variance that should be granted in order to preserve and protect the character of the neighborhood and the health, safety, and wellness or welfare of the community. ZBA further grants the variance as requested with the, well, we don't need conditions on it, so we'll get that in a second. There's also agreement that there is no significant impact on the environment, therefore I propose a type 2 action on seeker and no further review is required. Based upon that, would somebody make a motion to grant or deny the area variance?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion, the zoning board grant an area variance to Mr. Good.
Thank you.
For the property located at 7119 Carstairs Circle, East Syracuse, New York, tax map number 076-10-23.0. And the variance is being granted for the purpose of permitting construction of a extension on the house, 26 by 8 feet. 1 story.
And that would be a condition
Yeah,
of the variance. That it
Condition.
would be 1 story.
One story is presented.
with a continuous roof line off the gable. variance of 10 feet to meet the required 25 foot rear yard setback.
All right, can I get a second?
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
I have those plans, that Ed did stamp on the first set, so whoever's stamping them on the next step, I'll just have it, cause I spoke with him about a couple projects, so that's why I was kind of bringing it out, because I knew there was some questions for energy code compliance, but whoever's doing them, it. Do the re-review of the changes for energy code.
Office that is bad as this is good.
Thank you. Thank you.
You got a left-hander in the office over there? Who's
Left-hander?
left-handed?
Me, what's wrong with it?
Oh, must be, because now it's, you know,
Hey,
I'm used to it.
what's wrong with left-handed people? All right, agenda item number 6. Don and Kevin Smalley of 8278 Glen Eagle Drive in Manlius. They will need one side yard setback and one rear yard setback in the southwest rear corner of the lot for the installation of a 16 by 36 in-ground pool.
Yes, before we get started, I got letters from the neighbors adjacent to the property line and I could get the variance. Both in support of the pool on the variance.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the variance would be on the southern and western edge of my property, and those letters are from both of those neighbors.
So Allison, I'll give these two, but just for reference, it's the neighbors that reside at 4702 Enders Road and 4704 Enders Road. And neither of them have any issue.
Should we make the contacts from each other?
Yeah, I'm gonna give them to her. If you wanna explain to us what you're looking to do and why you need the variance.
Yeah, are you able to bring up the picture? I just don't have the date of the picture, so
I have this one and then I have your house.
just, it's probably the top down there, the property. So this is the, property map when we purchased the house. We were looking to put a pool in the south west corner of the property. And a pool by the pool installer that there was no way to put this in the property without having a variance or any setback, otherwise it will be in my house. So, I mean, there's no way to put it in. Warren came out to the property last week. It's not evident from the picture, and I don't know if the Google image will show up this isometric view. The yard is more pitched over on this side, and then when you get down here, it is a lot less grade. So that's one reason it's over there. Second reason is our kitchen window here. So with the kitchen window in the back, it allows us to have more security to see the pool visually to make sure that it's not being used without knowledge. Should the pool be over here? There's no windows. This is my garage. And between the pitch and no visible sideline to the pool, it becomes more of a safety issue that my wife and I don't want to take on. When that's done, yeah.
Well, they'd have to build a retaining wall on that other side too, wouldn't they? With the pitch of that yard.
Over there,
Yeah,
I
would.
I didn't,
Looking at it, I would think they would have.
I didn't get out there to measure, with all the snow we've had the last couple weeks, but it's warranted at that. I mean, you can visually see. It's a much bigger pitch.
There was a pitch.
It was a decent pitch.
Yeah. No, I looked at it as well, and I can see why you have it where you decided you want to put it.
Yeah,
But it
and
also makes sense from a security standpoint.
also looking out to the meter, you got my electric meter, the gas line is over here, so I can. Open the panel over here, put some panel, exactly the necessary equipment to facilitate the pool.
Are you putting in like a little pool house or doing it right up?
There's gonna be no pool house, where there's no shed, there's no pool house, we're literally just putting the pool. A small patio around just because you don't have lots of yard.
Are you gonna put the pump like right there on the side of the house or?
The pump's gonna be on this side of the house. right over here, and then once I put it in, I'm gonna be considered my neighbors, push small bushes around to make it visually appealing and to try to mitigate any sound coming off the pump. Our air conditioner is right next to it anyway. So, I mean, I don't see it being huge amount of increase in noise as it is. And they haven't said anything about the air conditioning, it's a fairly large unit.
But what's the difference, distance from the deck to the proposed pool?
Approximately 4 feet or so, yeah.
Okay, not much.
No, it would be like a 2-foot ring around the outside just to have a safety walkway without having it above the house and throwing water. The drainage, in order to make it to drainage, you're gonna have to pitch the pad to be pitched this way, just so you pitch it toward the house. And it doesn't go just straight down, you have guys that are waiting to pull into the other part of the yard.
Lauren, any other questions?
No.
AP,
All set.
I'll say.
Harry, no. Okay. Do we have anybody online, Allison?
We do not.
Okay. Can we get a motion to close the public
I'll
hearing?
make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed. All right, so as you saw before, we're gonna go through the 5 questions. All right, so number 1. Whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by a feasible alternative to the variance. In this case, I don't think so.
Well, they could move the pool, but
You could, but
it's, I don't see a problem where it is, that'd be.
I'm worried more about, I know the
I've heard
cost
your
is not
side.
really concerned for the variance, but the cost, and also you have to worry about more drainage from basically all that yard being fished down. And I'm more concerned about the safety aspects of having it in a more visible area.
The yard, the rear setback would be the same if you moved it down anyway.
That's what when I applied for the permit and the person
Yeah,
had
you
to call
have
me,
to do
told me,
it.
and I did, honestly, there's no place you'd be able to put this in there anyways, without even having like request.
Correct. Yeah, and that's the good thing about a lot of these pool companies is they've done this a few times, so.
We've got Canon, so we feel very confident that they know, he told me right off the bat that this was gonna be the process and get to this point, so.
Jeff Lamont.
They work with us frequently.
Yeah, this wasn't a surprise. to me.
No. All right, so question number 2, whether the undesirable change would be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties.
I don't think so.
Whether the requested variance is substantial.
No,
It's
not that
Big
big.
pool.
a big pool, but
I'm not the one, of course, my neighborhood that has a pool
no, they're
I
all
can tell you that.
relatively that size.
in that neighborhood.
Would the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood? Again, as he just said, his neighbors all have pools, well, most of them.
And I think as it said, how they actually make the property values even more increased and more desirable. A place to live by having that along the property.
All right, whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, yes, they want to build a pool. I love that answer. All right. Any other comments, questions?
Can I ask him a question?
Of course.
I was told once by somebody who lived in your neighborhood that it's impossible to have pools there because there's rock. You have to like blast it out, is that true?
I'm hoping that that's not the case
Serious.
when you get to the construction. My comfortable feeling is we have, as we mentioned, this application, Cannon's building our pool, and as Jeff has mentioned, he's built numerous pools in our area. And knowing like how geography is set up, a lot of land and underneath ground is very continuous, so I'm hoping I'm not at the edge of something.
Okay.
You may not be familiar, we almost live like across the street from the elementary school.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm hoping, I think it's mostly clay. Because we actually have French drains in the property.
They did only get roughly a 6-foot pool deep.
Who quote us?
Yeah,
Oh, we did that purposely, we didn't want to diving board, we
okay.
went
But
through the options.
they're not doing a because that is definitely a concern when we get over to that area, but that, I think they'll have less of an issue with there.
Cause the defense is actually in the ground, more in the ground.
Okay.
It's like on the lower end of the pitched yard.
We'll bring a bigger backhoe.
Good. Yeah, they definitely can get into some rocky areas over out there, but yours being so, not so shallow, but you're not going 10 feet deep over.
There's also 3 large spruce trees in that corner that we have already, they cut down, and the plan is kind of this weekend to grind it down fully. So I mean, I know that there's decent sized trees going in there, so I don't anticipate large areas of rock.
Yes, I remember asking you how they're gonna get that equipment in there.
We're removing the fence along that to get the equipment in, and then on the southern part of our front yard line, there's a small gate that goes to our neighbor's house. We're friends with our neighbors, we didn't put that in, I don't know along the lines how close they were. The proposal is just basically take those sections of fence and swap it, just so that's continuous, and now I have a gate to easily access the pool equipment. It will be locked to anything.
Thank you.
No, thank you for your questions. Hopefully that point.
Yes. No, I like you took into consideration the safety factor too. I know obviously your own family, but neighbors as well, it's always important. All right, so the ZBA. Bless you.
Thank you.
After taking into consideration the above 5 factors, finds that the benefit to the applicant does outweigh the detriment to the neighborhood or community. ZBA further finds that a variance for this one is for how much?
Well, you got 2 there.
Yeah, it's not on the sheet there, that's why the sheet I'm looking at there.
It's 13 feet from both property lines, and I think it's not that, 40 feet from them.
All right, so, yeah, so a 13-foot. I'm sorry, the applicant is requesting 13-foot rear yard setback, needs a variance of 7 feet. And that is, okay, and then the other one is for a variance of 27 feet, okay. Is the minimum variance that should be granted in order to preserve and protect the character of the neighborhood and the health, safety, and welfare of the community. And then there's an agreement that there is no significant impact on the environment, therefore I propose a type 2 action on secret and no further review is required. Based on that, can I get a motion to approve or deny the variance?
No,
KP.
not today?
KP, go ahead.
Oh, I'm so, go ahead.
Okay,
What?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that the zoning board grant an area variance to Kevin and Dawn Smalley for their property at 8278 Glen Eagle Drive in Manlius, New York, tax map number 117-12-09.0. Variance granted. 2 variances. A 7-foot variance for the side yard setback to meet the required 20 feet. And a 27-foot variance to meet the required 40-foot setback in the rear. 27-foot variance. For the purpose of an in-ground pool, size 16 by 36 feet.
Would somebody like to second that?
Second that.
All right. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Congratulations.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Hopefully, we have a nice summer. Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Yep. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
That is our.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. Opposed?
Wait a minute, anybody online?
No, we're adjourned.